Hey, I'm Scott Penfold, and it's another edition of the Loaded Radio podcast. Thanks for tuning in this week, and a special one this week. It's another double shot episode, I guess you could say, as the first portion is going to feature me in a discussion with Marc Görtz. Now, he is the longtime lead guitar player for German metalcore band CALIBAN. Now, he's a founding member, been with the band since 1997. And the band have 12 studio albums under their belts, 2 EPs, and 2 split albums they've done with Heaven Shall Burn and Talk of a Third. As well, the band have the new album Dystopia dropping this month. And then after that, I'm going to be speaking with Bobby Amaru. He's the current frontman for SALIVA. We're going to be talking about the new album that they've got coming up. It's going to be dropping this summer. Bobby's working on some solo stuff and a lot of talk, of course, going on with SALIVA with the upcoming reunion show at the Blue Ridge Rock Festival, which is coming up September the 8th through the 11th at the Virginia International Raceway in Halifax County. You can get more info, of course, at blueridgerockfest.com. But first off, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking to this guy here. He is the founding member and longtime lead guitar player for German metalcore band CALIBAN. Been with the outfit since 1997. They have the new album called Dystopia coming out April 22nd. I'm talking about Marc Görtz from CALIBAN. Marc, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
First off, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I know that it's been a very crazy time, especially for people who are working in the musical industry. How have you found throughout the pandemic? What did you keep yourself occupied with?
Writing music, pretty much.
Oh, was it really? Is this all music?
Yeah, I mean, I was writing music a lot. We released this Zeitgeister EP that consumed a lot of time. Then Dystopia took a lot of time. We took definitely more time than usual. I worked with some other bands on their albums. For example, Creator. They were doing. Miller was doing here the pre-production for their album. Cool. And besides that, video gaming.
Nice, man. I'm doing the same thing myself. Now, you mentioned Dystopia there. It's just killer, man. First off, I mean, I do want to talk about the video because the video is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. But also the track, you've got Christoph in there from Anisoke. How did that collaboration come about?
I know Christoph for a very long time. And I worked with him also before in his studio, for example, on my Kemper amp signature pack from STL Tones. And we played with them countless shows here and there. And actually, I was working with him on some melodies because I had a very specific idea how the melody from Dystopia should be somehow. And since the pandemic was going on still, Andy was working with Benny, the producer, in Berlin, and I couldn't be there, and I didn't know how to tell them what I hear there somehow, and and then I was asking Christoph, talk to him and sent him the song because he's a singer, obviously also, and then I asked him if he has some ideas for a vocal line because I explained to him what I have in mind, that I can show that to the guys actually and say, because I can't sing. I definitely can't sing.
All right.
So I wanted to send them an example, say, hey, this is what I had in mind for the melody. And then it turned out the way it was. And it was so great that we actually thought, why should we sing it like that? Just have him sing it. It's his idea. So let's have him as a guest. Yeah, like as a feature on the song, So, and that's actually this is actually what you hear on the record is actually the first demo he sent through. I didn't have to touch it at all. I just put it in the album.
Wow, because it sounds excellent, man. And also, I mean, the video, which was done by Whiskey Visions, who came up with the concept for the video? It's very, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, this the idea he had, and is I think it's one of our most expensive videos we have ever done.
I would imagine.
Yeah, we are really happy about it. Like the vision he had. We usually give the video director we don't tell them what we want. We tell them, here, this is the song, these are the lyrics, what do you vision, what's your vision? And then they send in some sketches and stuff like that, some treatments, and that's the idea he came up with, and he pretty much nailed what the idea of the song was.
Yeah, it was definitely excellent. Now, how did Marcus Bischoff from Heaven Shall Burn get involved with the song Virus?
Actually, because we are close friends with Heaven Shall Burn, they are our oldest friends. Like we are friends with them for 20 years or something.
Well, you've split albums with them too. Yeah.
For some reason, I had an idea if you listen to the song Virus, it is also musically like a real mix of Caliban and Heaven Shall Burn features somehow. You know, like the fast bass, double bass verse with this kind of rhythm pattern after. It reminded me really like Heaven Shall Burn. And then we had the idea to really bring that out even more in the songs, not to have him only singing on it, so that it also musically sounds like a collaboration between both bands. And yeah, he somehow had to sing that. You know, I was asking Andy, what do you think? Listen to this song. What comes to mind? You know, and everyone said straight away, yeah, that sounds like a Caliban song mixed with Heaven Shall Burn. I said, exactly. so we have to ask Marcus if he's up to singing on it, you know. And when he heard about the song and also the lyrics, the meanings, it's against racism and stuff like that, he was pretty fast on board. He said he really liked the song. And yeah.
I got to mention Johnny Davey from Job for a Cowboy on the song Dragon. How did Johnny get involved?
That was also some kind of a coincidence, because, I mean, as you see, they're all friends of us, like old time friends. They're at the stage with for quite some time. And this song for us really required some really heavy death metal vocals somehow. That part he is actually singing on. And then we threw ideas back and forth. Who could do that? Because we said this song needs somehow a feature, because this demonic kind of vibe we wanted to have there, Andy doesn't do really with his voice. So we wanted some guy, and then we threw back and forth ideas. And then our old manager Tom said, "Hey, what about Joe for a Cowboy? He's a cool guy." And it's like, "Oh yeah, we forgot, you know, of course, you know." And then we hit him up, and he sent over his tracks. It was also pretty quickly done within a matter of some days.
Oh, excellent. The one song I think that really stands out for me the most, the one that I personally like the most, is Ascent For The Blast. Now, what can you tell me about that one?
I can tell you about that one that this is my favorite song.
Yeah, it's mine too. Mine too.
Like, as far as I understood, Century Media didn't even want that as a single in first place. And I was like, you're gonna be kidding me. This is definitely gonna be a single.
Yeah. Oh, it's an excellent tune.
Song, you know? And I mean, of course, we talk to Century Media, which they think should be singles and stuff. It's not like that we decide fully on our own. It's also not that they tell us what we should release. It's always like we discussed it, you know, they ask, what are your favorite songs? Which songs do you vision as a single? And then we give them like 5 options, and they choose, we think these 3 out of these 5 should be single, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And they chose one other song. And besides Ascent of the Blast, and I put in my veto. I said, no. This is definitely going to be a single. And Andy also really liked the song. It wasn't supposed to be the first single. The first single was actually supposed to be Dystopia.
Oh, was it? Okay.
But because of timing issues, because Mirko wasn't able to do the video as on time to be the first single, we decided, okay, let's switch it. Then we have the second single, Dystopia, and we do Ascent of the Blast first. You know, it was supposed to be reversed. I really like this kind of the vibe of the song, how dark it is, and in the middle part, this kind of breakdown is so rough and straightforward, pretty evil somehow. And this is really, really my favorite song.
Absolutely. Now, you'd mentioned Heaven Shall Burn before. Do you see yourselves doing maybe a third split album with Heaven Shall Burn?
Yeah, we always talk about that. Always.
Yeah.
Because millions of people are asking, kind of. And then we threw also already ideas back and forth. What could we do and what should we do and stuff like that. And Alex from Heaven Shall Burn said, maybe we should do that. We do the melodic vocals and you are not allowed to do melodic vocals. I said, all right. That would be very, very interesting. And but that was just some idea. We don't know, but we are definitely talking about this since ages. And I think at some point this is going to happen sooner or later. Maybe next year, maybe in 8 years, who knows, you know, but we definitely want to do at least another third one, you know.
Yeah, just so you could have like a trilogy, you know, that'd be really cool, right? I wanted to also ask about how was it working with Anders Frieden back in 2004?
Yeah, it was an honor because he liked our music and he wanted to work with us on our tracks and stuff like that. And we actually learned a lot from him. And it's just that after these two albums, our ideas, how we want to sound, drifted apart a bit. No, there was no stress or something why we didn't continue working, but it was just a different vision we had in mind, what he had in mind, what we should do next,
Right.
And then we decided to have someone else. So we are still very good friends. And but we learned a lot about songwriting from him because we came from the underground hardcore scene, and he was in this kind of, let's say, mainstream metal band and stuff like that. He taught us a lot of about how it is better for the song structures and stuff like that. So that was really, really good for us at that point. That's what we needed at that point to progress in our musical writing skills somehow. And and I was really happy to work with him. He's a very cool guy, very calm guy.
Yeah. Now, just you as a guitar player, Marc, I mean, who are some metal guitar players that are really standing out to you lately? Like some guys that you think are really just excellent?
To be honest, of course, there are thousands or hundreds of very, very good, great guitar players out there. A guitar player which I look up to the most is actually the guitar player from Muse.
Oh, cool.
This is the biggest influence on me somehow for writing music in a way, because if you hear, for example, everything from and after I Am Nemesis has a lot of atmospheric guitar tones and atmospheric kind of background melodies and everything. This is all inspired the way like Muse is using how he is using his instrument, and
right. Creating
kind of unusual soundscapes and stuff like that. And this is really inspiring for me how he does it. This is like just from another world for me somehow, what he does there, even also live.
Yeah, Muse is great and a great creative collective. You know what I mean? So definitely a great call on that.
Yeah. So this is, I would say, one of the biggest influence on me. I mean, of course, there are crazy good guitar players out there. For example, Tosin from Animals as Leaders and stuff like that. Yeah. We're friends with him too, because we toured with his old band Reflux for quite a couple of times. I think
right.
like 3 times or something in the States. The cool guy, very great guitar player. And I will, even in 100 years, not be able to play what he plays. So, but this is not the music which is like influencing us somehow, I can listen to that, but this is not really influencing my guitar playing. That is really like this kind of vibe from Muse more.
Awesome. Marc, thank you so much for your time today, man. And it'd be really nice to actually get out there and see a live show with you guys performing live. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, we are talking about and thinking about hopefully finally next year coming back to Canada and the States, because this year we really want to focus on Europe, our main market somehow, because we just played our very first show in years last Friday. Next week, we have a couple release shows coming, very small shows. And then from there on, we built up like European festivals and tours. And then we hope next year we're going to be able to come to the States and Canada.
Sounds awesome, Marc. The new album rips, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Have a good day.
There he is. There's Marc Görtz from CALIBAN. And don't forget, yes, the new album Dystopia that drops on April 22nd via Century Media, and a great, great sounding metalcore band from Essen, Germany. But hey, I'm Scott Penfold here with you on the Loaded Radio podcast. And usually now I would connect with Loaded Radio's Johnny Rude down there in Las Vegas, Nevada, and we would talk about the week that was in hard rock and metal. That's not going to happen this week. Johnny will be back with us next week when we'll have Dorothy on the show. Now, Dorothy, just an incredible front woman fronting the band Dorothy, but the accolades that Dorothy's received in her tenure being within the music industry is just incredible. So yeah, definitely looking forward to talking to Dorothy next week right here on the Loaded Radio podcast. There's been like so many interviews lately, man. It's just like trying to get them all in order. It's just like really, really, really crazy. But when it comes to like hard rock and metal news, like what's going on right now, I mean, I think the big thing is all this Van Halen talk. Now, this all started back when former Metallica bassist Jason Newsted was doing an interview with the Palm Beach Post. And he said that he was approached by Alex Van Halen about 6 months prior about playing bass for a project that would essentially go on the road and be a traveling tribute to Van Halen and Eddie Van Halen. Now, guitar player Joe Satriani was supposed to be involved in this project, as well as David Lee Roth. Not sure why they would ask Jason Newsted, not just go right to Mike Anthony. I mean, that's just, I don't understand that. Is the hostility toward Mike Anthony still that prominent, where even at this point, they would not approach him? So, I mean, I don't really understand that. So Newsted said that he did fly down to California and he jammed with Alex and Joe just to see if it felt right. But he said that he realized it would be impossible to do justice to Van Halen's legacy. He said, how could you? There's nobody that can top it. So how could you show it honor? I didn't want to be viewed as a money grab, and then it kind of just all fizzled. Now, Joe Satriani eventually confirmed to the Rock of Nations show that, he had been in regular contact over the past year with Alex Van Halen and David Lee Roth about possibly doing this tribute to the late Eddie Van Halen and the Van Halen legacy. Now, he's kind of surprised that Jason Newsted dropped the ball on this thing, as he thought that everyone was sort of sworn to secrecy. But, I mean, it was a real thing. I mean, when it first happened, when Jason Newsted first started talking about this story, I mean, nobody really believed him at first. Like, no way. Why would that happen? But when Satriani came out and said it's happening, it kind of really stamped it, and people started realizing, okay, this could be a real thing. Now, David Lee Roth, he was asked by the Van Halen news desk to give his 2 cents on this hypothetical tour. And I mean, David Lee Roth, cagey as ever, the guy never makes sense of anything he says. I mean, I'm sorry, I love David Lee Roth as a frontman, but he can no longer sing, and I think he knows that. That's why he's retiring from music. And he's just a strange guy with everything he says. I mean, here's what he said. He goes, in my mind, Van Halen 4R in the age of COVID is going to require 2 of us for every position. Satriani and Lukather, meaning guitarist Steve Lukather, Anthony and Newsted, Alex Van Halen and Tommy Lee, and probably the only one who could do my job today would be Pink. Which really goes to show where David Lee Roth is head at when it came to the collective of Van Halen. I mean, it was always, sort of 3 guys who were really into rock, and then one dude who fronted the band who was just sort of into other stuff. You know what I mean? And this is coming after 3 months ago when David Lee Roth canceled the remaining farewell shows that he was going to play at the House of Blues at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. Those were supposed to be his last shows. He said, I'm throwing in the shoes. I'm retiring. It's done. And he said he wasn't going to explain the statement. He said it's in a safe. He's just a strange guy. Just a strange dude. But in my opinion, if this thing does happen, I mean, that seems to be the talk right now. There's no word on if it is moving forward or anything like that at this point. But, I mean, if it did happen, does it seem a little bit opportunistic? A little bit, I think. I mean, Joe Satriani is an incredible guitar player. And, I mean, if you're going to have somebody step into Eddie's boots, that would definitely be one of the guys on the short list. But why are you calling Jason Newsted? I mean, at least give the fans Mike. I mean, despite what's going on, we're talking about a legacy here, which Michael was a very, very big part of. Would it sell? Sure, man. I mean, people would buy tickets. It would happen. It would be a big deal. But something would just feel kind of off to me. I mean, again, it would be great, and I would probably love going to the show, just like you probably would. But the thing that really made Van Halen was Eddie. It was all about Eddie's tone, Eddie's playing, Eddie's style. The whole band was really essentially built around Eddie Van Halen. So when you take that factor out, no matter how good of a guitar player you put in there, whether it be Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Tosin Abasi, it doesn't matter. It's not going to be Eddie. But yeah, that's just my opinion. And you know what? Like I said, tickets go on sale. I'll probably be there, with cash in hand, and I'll probably go. But that brings us to the next portion where I'm going to be talking to SALIVA frontman Bobby Amaru. He has done 4 albums with the band and also some solo work. And of course, I mean, a lot of people talking about SALIVA when it comes to this big reunion show coming up in September at Blue Ridge Rock Festival, where Josey Scott, original frontman for the band, is going to be joining them. So we'll definitely touch on that. Bobby, how you doing? Thanks for joining me on the Load Radio podcast this week.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me, man.
First off, what have you been up to lately? I mean, obviously with the pandemic sort of coming to a close, then sort of not. But what have you been up to lately during the whole thing?
Writing a lot of music. Did a lot of that stuff. Did a bunch of music stuff. We didn't do a whole lot of shows a couple years ago. Last year picked up more. But yeah, I know we did we've got a covers record done. We've got a new record done. We did the every 20 years thing last year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I did a solo record, kind of got all that done. And then in July, baby girl. So stoked about that.
Oh, awesome. Congratulations, man. Is that your first kid?
No, third.
Nice work. Do you find that it's difficult being able to maintain all the dad duties you would like to do being a musician?
Yeah, but you know what? It's better that you put the effort no matter what than not. So it was with my other ones, my son's 14, my daughter's 10, and it, you miss some things, but, luckily, we kind of tour when we want to, and we can still balance all the home stuff and, be there for the kids and,
Yeah. Well, I guess when it comes to working, the last album would have been 10 Lives. Now, you produced that one. Is there a follow-up to 10 Lives in the works right now? And will you be producing that one as well?
Yeah. So we're releasing it in summer. There's a new record coming out. We released a single, Revelation Man, about a month ago. And then we're about to release another single as well. And that's going to be part of the new record that's coming out late summer.
Now, I was actually going to ask you, you mentioned Revelation Man. Is that a song that you wrote?
So it's a song that I actually wrote it with this guy, Zach Malloy. Zach Malloy used to be the singer. He's the singer for the band The Nixons from like the 90s. Yeah. But he lives in Nashville and he's a big songwriter. He writes with everybody from Shinedown to Hellstorm. I mean, you name it. So, and they have a great team of guys there. And I love co-writing because I always feel like things will come from the song that I couldn't just do by myself. And it's always cool to have different perspectives on a song as well. Like, sometimes I'll write a song by myself, just in my room, and people go, "Oh my God, that's like my favorite song." And I'm like, I didn't even think anything of it, but when you co-write with somebody else, you're both able to kind of bounce ideas back and forth to kind of see where the song's going,
Did you produce the new one as well?
Yeah. Similar thing, I guess, just done in a different room.
Yeah.
But all, Wayne would come into town and we'd all kind of track our parts, when we could, and for the most part, it was just trying to get the best songs down. And we had about 20 songs to choose from. So
you mentioned 20 songs. Why the decision to record every 20 years? Why the decision to record that EP?
Well, that was part of the whole pandemic stuff. Pandemic sessions, I guess, that you'd call it. It was something that we wanted to do for the 20-year deal. There were talks of doing like a reunion and stuff, and it just didn't really pan out. Right. So it's like, well, let's not just let the year go to waste. Let's do something. So we did. And would always have people come up to me at shows and say, "Man, I'd love to hear your voice on some of those songs just to see." And I used to just kind of pass it off. I never really thought of it or never really wanted to do it, I guess. And then when we were like, all right, we'll do this, for the fans of Saliva, and you just be like my vibe on them. And, no disrespect to the legacy of those songs. Those songs are great songs as they are. It's just a different twist to them. Yeah, no, obviously you've been performing these songs live too, and you've sort of given them your own sort of a twist. Now, the upcoming reunion with Josey at Blue Ridge Rock Fest, vocalist-wise, it's going to be both you and Josey will be there fronting the band, correct? Yes.
Cool. So how is it supposed to work that way? Is it going to be like a half and half kind of a show, or?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, we're not going to give too many things away of what we're doing, but I think it's going to be cool, man. It's going to be cool to see, and people are going to, especially the fans. If you're a fan of Saliva, I think it's going to be awesome. The guy hasn't been on stage in over 10 years. I think it'll be cool.
Now, how did this one-off show sort of come together? I know that there was some talk before and it never really happened. How did this sort of one-off happen?
Well, it almost happened the year prior too. There were some talks, but it just didn't really line up. Dude, honestly, like what happened was I was asked, "Hey, can we try this again?" We did. It didn't work last year for Blue Ridge, and what will it take? And Wayne sent a text to Josey, and he said, "Yeah, I would love to." It sounds like it'd be a great time for the fans, and that's really how it started. He's working on solo stuff. He just looks like his own site and his own like Facebook and stuff. He's working on like a solo record, which is what he always should have been doing.
Well, I think that's why he initially said that he was leaving the band to I think he was pursuing a Christian solo kind of a career thing at the time.
Yeah, I don't know if that was ever for real thing or not. As far as like the Christian record, I don't know if that's what he's doing.
No,
I think it's more of he went and just did the family stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it looked like. I think there was a video that he put up recently of just him at home and just giving people an update on what he was doing. So,
right,
that's what it seemed to be. You mentioned that there was a solo album. Was it like another Amaru album that has been released?
Yeah. Well, I've got a bunch of those songs done. And I've got another project, Misery Down project, that I've got done as well.
What's that about?
That's a little heavier, just more like, it's like way heavier than Saliva, I guess you would say.
No, that's awesome, man.
You know, more like metal roots, I guess.
Yeah, that's what we love here, man, on Loaded Radio. So that's great. We'd love to hear some of it.
Yeah, I'll send you a track.
We'd love to hear it on Loaded Radio for sure, man. We're all about the hard rock and heavy metal, dude. So is it different? So is it like thrashy, or is it like
No. It's more like modern industrial, like metal stuff.
Oh, that'd be great, man. Just what do you have coming up in the immediate future?
We have a bunch of tour dates on the books. So, I mean, I look at them and there's like, okay, they keep adding some here and there, but I think that's the idea, is to go out. We're about to release a bunch of dates for June.
Oh, cool.
And then there's, just through the summer, we'll be doing weekends and stuff as well. And then we'll probably go out with somebody like later in the year too, maybe go support. And then, we're going to release the record and, just do the cycle, see what happens.
Awesome. Bobby, can't thank you enough, man, for taking the time today. Really, really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Don't forget to check out loadedradio.com for all your hard rock and metal news, updated constantly. Also, the 24-hour live radio station. Yeah, it's live, and that's where we hang out. We're not doing the podcast. And so much more. It's just a click away at loadedradio.com. Also, you can download the Loaded Radio app where you get the podcast before anybody else as well. All the hard rock and metal news, like I just told you about, the 24-hour stream, and all the cool stuff that Loaded Radio's got for you. Okay? If you dig hard rock and metal, it's an app you're going to want. Oh, it's completely free, by the way, as well. Okay? All right, thanks for tuning in this week. We will talk to you again next week right here for an all-new edition of the Loaded Radio podcast. I'm Scott Penfold, and we'll talk to you next week.
Loaded Radio.